when I was in that stage in my life, like I said, I didn't buy those shoes because it looked good. I bought the shoes because I wanted to show people that I have these shoes. What a stupid way to fucking live. And when I went the other way around, I did the opposite, where I felt like I deserved nothing because of how I behaved before. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Genius Brain Podcast Solo Edition. Listen, you know I don't do this often. I don't do it often, but look, if you can't tell by looking at the place that I'm shooting at right now, we're in the process of redoing everything in this home. Look, I'm not sure if you guys have ever felt this way growing up, but I didn't grow up with a lot of money, right? I kind of grew up broke, poor, which I feel like a lot of people who listen to this podcast understand what it's like being a broke person. But, you know, the way that we spend money growing up, specifically as an immigrant, kind of growing up a little bit impoverished, like how we spend our money, it's, I don't know, there's like a little bit of like PTSD with it. Sometimes when I buy nice things, I feel like I don't deserve it, right? So whenever I go shopping for certain things, it always has to be a bargain. Like till this day, I'm always on Facebook Marketplace. I'm always on OfferUp. I'm always looking for a better deal. I don't necessarily need it to be brand new, just because I always feel like it's a waste of money. Depending on certain items, right? Obviously, a lot of things I'll buy brand new, like clothing or something like that, right? But if I'm looking at furniture, depending on what it is, like I'm always looking for a good deal. And that's not just because I like, you know, bargaining and shit like that, or maybe it's something that I grew up with a majority of my life. It's just that I don't necessarily, I don't know. It's hard for me to ever justify spending too much money on things. No matter how well I've done, no matter how much money I've made, I've obviously had multiple bits. It doesn't matter. This part will never change out of me. And you don't really see this a lot, right? You always hear people talk about that. Oh, like no matter what, no matter how much money I make, you know, I ain't gonna spend it on stupid shit. I'm literally that guy, right? Of course, every now and then I'll spend it on equipment or whatever, but I just can't find myself rewarding myself with like new things or buying things at full price, because at times I just feel like I don't deserve it. And I don't know if you guys ever feel that way. And I'm talking to people out there who, you know, didn't grow up with a lot. And there's like two roads that kind of form when you start making money when you're a broke person, right? Number one is that you make a good amount of money, you become somewhat successful financially. And then even though you have the money, you just can't spend it because you're always scared that one day somebody's going to take this thing away from you. You just live in this constant fear that everything that you've earned up until now was a fluke. Like this all happened by chance. It never happened because of your hard work. Like the next day you could be fired from your job. The businesses that you own could catch on fire, and the next day it could all disappear. So you kind of spend knowing that there's always this like impending doom around the corner. And then the other side is that now that I have this money, I'm going to spend it on whatever I can. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is. I wanted this as a kid. And so I want to fulfill these things in my life that I didn't have because I was poor. I will never be poor again. I saw my parents be poor. I saw them struggle. I don't want to be that person. I don't want people to look at me like I'm struggling and feel like I'm a charity case, because I know what that feels like on the daily. And those are usually the two roads that I see. Now, for me, I've experienced both, right? Especially at the stage of, let me just kind of give you like the timeline, right? For those of you who are new to this channel or this podcast, you're going to listen to this and you probably need a little bit of context. So I've been on YouTube for a very long time, over a decade, probably 12, 13 years. And it's afforded me a lot of things that I couldn't have when I was younger. I grew up in the South Side of Sacramento. Didn't really know I was poor until I went to college and I compared my life to others, right? Because when you kind of grow up in an area where everybody else doesn't have a lot of money, and obviously I had friends who were better off than I was, right? But they weren't rich, right? They weren't balling like some of the people that I am around now. I didn't have much to compare it to, right? So if everybody's poor and broke around you, what are you really comparing your wealth to? It's like, oh, this guy just has a better Honda Civic or some bullshit, right? And so I kind of lived in this world where I was very satisfied with the things that I had. I didn't really reach out for much, and I didn't live a life of comparison. That could honestly be attributed to my parents doing a really good job. They always told us that we had more than we needed. And I really did feel that way. And I felt like everything that I was getting that was a gift or something else felt like a bonus in life. And that kind of carried on with me as an adult. Well, during a certain point where I was making a good amount of money, and I, relative to what I'm making now, but this is like early on, I was like in my 20s, I didn't know what to do with myself, right? I didn't know what to do with this money. And it was kind of weird because you kind of go from this kid coming into Los Angeles with, a couple $100 to your name, this box spring mattress, this MacBook that you're editing on, and you're writing these jokes every day just so somebody could recognize you for your hard work, to suddenly have money in your bank account. So when I first came to LA, I moved to this area called Pasadena, right? It was like East Pasadena, around that area. And I split an apartment with my cousin. He actually helped financially supported me a lot. My dad bought me a camera for me to record things on, and I had support, but money wise, I didn't really have much of it. So there was this restaurant that I was right across from, and there's better restaurants now, but just to put it in perspective, at the time, because I was so poor, this sushi restaurant was called Matsuri, and Matsuri is still around now, and I think it's pretty decent. But going to eat there was a treat. And I remember getting my first YouTube paycheck, and it was just like a few $100, and I damn near almost cried, because it was the first time I actually got to make a sizable amount of money, which wasn't much. I think it was like a few $100 that I made from doing something that I really loved, right? And it was a pivotal moment for me, especially in my career, because it showed that I can make a living off of this. A lot of the times when people pursue their passions in arts, the part where you make a decent living off of it is slim and next to none. So what we have here is quite a blessing, right? Well, I used to go to Matsuri on special occasions in that first year that I was in LA. And I remember just going there and looking at the menu. And, when you're broke as shit and you look at a menu, you're not looking at what to eat. You're looking at the number first. So it's not like you're at the menu going, oh, okay, I like this. Maybe I'll get that. No. It's like this. This number here got a 1 in front of it. This is probably where I'm going to stay around. If there's not a second digit behind it, that might be even better. And then if I'm on a date with the girl, I just tell her, yo, I had a big lunch before I came here. So you go ahead and you order what you want, so you could pay for her meal, knowing that you're broke as shit because you could barely pay for yourself. That was the situation that I was in. Well, later on, I remember making money and then going there, and then I didn't have to look at that number anymore as much, right? I could just look at the stuff that I want to eat, and I could just order it without worrying that I wouldn't have any money in my bank account. Well, this kind of started this process in my mind of, I am going to do everything that I couldn't do when I was a kid. And I started buying a lot of things, a ridiculous amount of stuff that I don't need and I don't need now. And one of the biggest things that I started spending, I'm gonna do a video on this later, is that I started buying shoes. And I know shoes are, you're like, why would you buy fucking shoes, man? You only got two feet. How many pairs of shoes that you need? Well, there's like this culture of sneakerheads that you guys always heard about. I mean, I did sketches on it. I've talked about it before. I shit on a lot of sneakerheads. But when I started buying sneakers, it was because I wanted to buy things that wasn't afforded to me when I was a kid. Like, I remember just growing up in Sacramento, and then I remember the first time with my own money, I bought these like white Air Force Ones, and it was like the hottest thing at the time, and they were fresh as fuck. And you kind of walk through, you see the Air Force Ones, they see it on your feet, and people go, oh, yo, what's up? Those are clean as fuck. And then you get like this rush of other people complimenting you about the shoes that you have on your feet. And it just becomes like this kind of like a sick thing that happens. Like, you stop wearing shoes, not because it goes great with the outfit. You wear shoes so you could walk out, so somebody can mention that you have dope shoes on. It's about the dumbest fucking thing I've ever done in my life. And a lot of kids do that now. And I think a lot of people still do it till this day. So I went and I just bought a bunch of shoes, as much shoes as possible. Every Jordan that I wanted, from Jordan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10s, 11s, 11s, yes. All the way to 11s. Anything past 11s, I didn't really cop. But I copped some of my favorite shoes, right? Obviously a shit ton of Jordan 1s, the Breads, the Royal Blues. I got I went to the 11s because of course I love my Bread 11s, right? We got the Cement 4s in black and white. We got the Cement 3s in black and white as well. And I just started collecting these shoes over time. Well, this hobby of mine, to fulfill this hole in my life as a kid, as a young person who wanted these shoes, who wanted to relive that feeling of showing out, I bought I probably dropped, I want to say shamefully, probably 10 grand plus in shoes. One of the most interesting moments of my life. And I just had this wall stacked to the wall of all these different shoes. And guess what? I would say 30% of them weren't even the shoes that I wanted as a kid. It was just shoes that I could buy because I liked it in the moment. And I would just use the money and I would just buy it. The dumbest thing ever. I was terribly dressed. Didn't care about what I looked like on top. I just wanted the shoes and I never put my feet in them. And the reason why I did it once again was to show people that I was successful, that I could buy the things that I want, that money wasn't a thing to me. And I kept buying these things, trying to fill this hole over and over and over again. And it turned out it did absolutely nothing for me. So later on, what I did was that I actually sold probably about 80% of them. And I got obviously my money back and then some. I actually made a profit. But that's the route that I chose, right? I went the route of fulfilling my childhood needs and buying the things that I always wanted to buy. Well, that didn't really do much for me, right? And so I went into this phase afterwards where I just didn't want to spend money at all, where I was like, these things don't really matter as much. And then I went back to this habit of being extremely frugal, not because I had to, but it's because I saw the stupidity in how I was spending. And then I went to this point of just working all the time, grinding out, collecting money, not spending anything, and living kind of decrepit because I felt like I didn't deserve it. And I was a little bit ashamed of the money that I spent on this stupid thing that doesn't fucking matter. So, I swung super far right and I swung super far left and I couldn't find a balance in my life. And, what I want to kind of ask you guys to think about, and I wonder if you're going through this too right now, is how much does the things that you buy reflect how you feel inside? And it's something that I never really thought about. But when I take a hot second, and I'm finding this now as I'm getting older, I'm in my, I'm not old, but, as I'm starting to mature, I'm having these deep conversations with people. I pride myself in kind of doing whatever the fuck you want and kind of not letting other people sway your opinions about yourself. But I'm no different than anybody else. When I was in that stage in my life, like I said, I didn't buy those shoes because it looked good. I bought the shoes because I wanted to show people that I have these shoes. What a stupid way to fucking live. And when I went the other way around, I did the opposite, where I felt like I deserved nothing because of how I behaved before. And I'm in a place now where I'm figuring out that where I place my money and the things that I buy aren't a reflection of who I am, right? And sometimes living in the city, it makes it very, very hard. And it's not because it's obviously, they didn't tell you to 100%, but we're all susceptible to societal pressures. And sometimes when you live in the city, you kind of run into people who judge you based on what you wear, what you're doing, how much you make, and they never look at the person that you are. And it makes it hard for people when they move into the city. Los Angeles, or not even just Los Angeles, any huge metropolitan city, people will judge you by the things that you wear, what you look, how much you make, because they're looking, these are like social status climbers. And I've seen that a lot in this city, right? I don't know how many times I can tell you where I've walked outside and the first thing people ask is, what do you do? And it's not what do you do as if they're curious to see what you do for a living in terms of what you do with your time. They're trying to see where they can place you in their life, if you are even worthy of being around them, which is fucking stupid. I've always hated that. I've always enjoyed being around people simply because they're good people. When I was talking to my wife, when we were dating, and she kind of met my motley crew of friends, and they're all very different. And some of them would rub her the wrong way. Some of them weren't, the easiest to be around because honestly, they're a reflection of me, and some of them are worse than I am. And she would be like, why do you hang out with these people? Or kind of inferring like, I would have never guessed I would see you around, this group of people. And she's not judging them as if they're, nerds or dweebs or they don't make me look cool. Not like that. She's looking at them as like they're kind of assholes, which they kind of are. So I get it. Genius Brain listeners, this podcast is brought to you by Kickoff. Credit is king, my friend. And if you're trying to build your credit, well, what better way to do that than with Kickoff? For those of you who don't know, Kickoff is the fastest, easiest way to safely jumpstart your credit and get to those goals quicker with no credit check required. Sign up for a monthly plan in minutes and start building credit immediately for as low as $5. What I love about them the most is the auto pay to build credit while I sleep, so I never worry about missing a payment. They are the #1 credit building app out there for a reason. Users with credit under 600 increased their credit by an average of 30 points in the first month. Join over 1 million people building credit with a Kickoff credit account today. Get your first month for $1. That's 80% off the normal price when you go to getkickoff.com/genius today. That's Kickoff without the C, getkickoff.com/genius. Must sign up via getkickoff.com/genius to activate offer. Offer applies to new Kickoff customers. First month only, subject to approval. Average impact of 30-point increase in first month based on Equifax Vantage Score 3.0. Changes for Kickoff premium customers with starting credit below 600 who made their first on-time payment between January 2021 and March 2024. Payment and credit activity outside Kickoff can have an impact on your credit. Terms and conditions may apply. Offer subject to change. Individual results may vary. But kind of how I have judged people around myself was not so much how they make me look, it's who they are to me. If I was stranded somewhere, if I needed something and I was desperate for it and it was there, could I call them up and would they be there immediately? No questions asked. And those are the people that I've kept in my life. And so judging people on that criteria alone, obviously there's going to be a few caveats. They're not going to be able to, they're not the most normal and all the other stuff, but as long as they have that core quality and we kind of, we do have differences, but that core quality is there. These people will be very close to my heart for the rest of my life. And then I started, this kind of correlates to how I started looking at things that I buy now. If you look around here, like I said, we're moving, we're taking things out. And as of right now, I'm selling and I'm getting rid of almost everything that I don't need, that doesn't help my life. If you're younger out there and you're listening to this, you will be, one day it's going to hit you really hard that the time that you have on this earth is very limited. And I start seeing it in almost everything. For example, I started seeing it in my parents. Now, of course, as an adult now, it's a very hard conversation to have, and it's something that's very difficult to see. But when I look at my parents now, as somebody who's in his mid to late 30s, I still see my mom and dad as the people that I saw when I was a little kid. Yeah, I see their older features. I see the wrinkles. I see them a little slower, not as athletic, the gray hairs. I see all that stuff. But emotionally, I still feel like a child and like the little kid that just reached out for his parents' hands whenever he needed help. I always see that. And as you get older, you kind of wish you could like stop time, because you become very, very cognizant that they're not the parents that you saw when you were a kid anymore. Even though it's hard to register. And I don't know if that makes sense as I'm saying this, but if people are kind of at this age or maybe even a little younger, maybe you understand what I'm talking about. You start to realize that there are things in this world that don't matter as much, that you put so much emphasis in that doesn't help you at all. It doesn't improve your fucking life. One thing in life that's always guaranteed, you are going to die and I'm going to die. What I do on this earth and the people around me matters the most. And I never really thought about that in that type of sense. And so, going back home to Sacramento recently, I enjoyed my time with my parents, and it just kind of reiterated this, or put this flame back into me where I was like, oh, I need to put time to things that really matter. And material things, it's not that, which is why I started to get rid of everything that I have right now that I don't need. That was more for my ego than it was for a better life. Genius Brain listeners, this podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. My friends, BetterHelp has been a long-time sponsor of this podcast because they are just the best. And mental health is mental wealth, and just wealth in general, my friends, because if you're good up there, you're good everywhere else is how I feel. And my friends, have you ever noticed that comparison is the thief of joy? Because it's so easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together on their Instagram, but in reality, they probably don't. Therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. I used to live like that. We're even going to talk about it on this podcast a little bit, but just doing that in and of itself makes you so just absolutely miserable. So learning just positive coping skills can help you set boundaries and help you be the best version of yourself, and BetterHelp can help you today with that. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/genius today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/genius. And by the way, when I say this, I'm not telling you, don't buy anything. Don't buy anything at all. You're going to die. Nothing matters. That's not what I'm saying at all. And I know a lot of people will misconstrue the message that I'm giving out right now. I think now it's about, where do you spend your time and where do you spend your money really is going to matter as you get older. Even beyond, if you look, especially when you start to have kids, right? Let's say for those of you who don't want to have kids, this also applies to you, because at the end of the day, you actually don't know when you're going to die. You don't know how important time is. Time is something that's such a huge luxury for us. I am now old enough to understand the value of life. So many people around me now are losing their parents. So many people around me are losing their children unexpectedly. Their grandparents, their friends, their family, they're all starting to die. Not because of old age, it's just sometimes shit just happens. And we always look at things and we kind of take things for granted because we assume that it's supposed to be here forever. But those things are not guaranteed. And guess what? There's a large group of you out there, me included, that know this. But we ignore it because we don't want to face this reality. We don't want to face the reality that these things can be taken away from us. One of the things that I learned through therapy, that when I was going through therapy, was that when I was younger, I would mistreat a lot of the people that were closest to me and distance myself from them. Not because they were bad people or did something happen between us, is that I was scared to get close to people and fall in love with them, whether it was in terms of friendship or even in relationships, because I was scared of one day losing them. The happier that I get, I start to realize in my brain that this happiness won't last forever and something will take this away from me. So it's better for me to just distance myself from these people because I don't want to feel that pain. I wouldn't want to get close to my mom and dad because I know one day they won't be around. I don't want to open up to my wife. I don't want to be too dependent on her, because if I am, well, what if she leaves me? What if she dies? So I live this life of subdued happiness because I'm scared of always being hurt. And it's also because I found value in the things that are important to me. So I started pushing away from it in fear that it would go away. And I know this kind of sounds like my thoughts are all over the place, but let me wrap back around this. I am now getting to this point in life where I am figuring out what happiness is to me and for me, right? It's not views. It's not recognition. It's none of that stuff. It has everything to do with what I do with my time here. And what I found out, and this is just one part of this, we could do multiple podcasts of this, but today's subject is just material things. These things that don't bring value to my life, I decided to let it go. It has been tough. Let me tell you something. Downstairs, those shoes, I'm going to start putting it up online. Maybe I'll sell it to you guys. I don't know. But I'm putting it up and I still find it hard. I'm looking at these Jordan 1s like, hey, motherfucker, do I really need to let you go? Like, what if that one time where I'm out, I got my fit, it's all tight, it's dope, it's fine. I got my shoes on, I walk out, it's going to be dope. What if I sell it? Do I need to buy again? It's going to cost more if I sell it. But so I might as well keep it now because I got it when it was cheap. If I buy it later on, then what's the whole point? No. the fucking rationale that's going on in my head just to keep these fucking shoes is unreal. I don't understand it. I don't understand why I'm still attached to it. I've had this epiphany, but I still have trouble selling it. So yeah, it's a lot easier said than done. But now, look, I am in the process of doing this. I would never put money into our house because in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, what a waste of money. I'm going to go buy a house anyway, so why even decorate this place? My house has every place that I've moved and lived into was half lived in because I felt like it wasn't mine and I could leave at any given time. So I never really decorated the place. I never bought nice furniture. The only thing that I really spent money on was a mattress to sleep on, but everything else was fucking whatever. But I would spend money on equipment, thousands of dollars of cameras and lenses, but the fucking place that I live in looked like garbage. What kind of mental gymnastics am I doing? It's so fucking weird. Look, I'm only getting better day by day. But this past month to 2 months or so of getting rid of the things that I don't need in life in the material sense has been very eye-opening for me. Everything in my house needs to have a purpose now. We don't have it just because. Even if it's decorations, the decorations need to have a purpose. This is why I don't like it when people give me things. I don't want material things. They go, here, I got you. I don't want that. Take me out for a meal. Buy me a drink. Or ask me something that I need and then maybe buy that for me, right? Which is not going to be much. Hey, you know what I would like? Come through, buy me go to Costco, get me a roll of toilet paper. Get me some paper towels. You know what I'm saying? Get me some. I don't know, a case of Kirkland bottled water. Give me that, some club soda. I love those types of gifts because I get to use it. I have to buy it all the time. When you come to this house, if anybody I don't know, if we somehow become friends and you give me a housewarming part, toilet paper, paper towels, you know what I'm saying? Some soap, some dishwashing soap. I'll stock up on that type of stuff so I never have to buy it. That's the stuff that I want you to get me. No more of the flowers, no more gag gifts. I don't need any of that stuff. There are so many people in this world that need things. I'm not one of them. I've been very blessed to have the things that I have. I don't need more material possessions because now I no longer worry about what other people think about me, about the things that I have, and I no longer need to feed my ego. I don't need the nice car anymore. I have a decent car. I don't need a nice car. I don't need these things because it doesn't matter what somebody thinks about me. You have any idea how many times people have, it's like, oh my God, David, so what? I thought you would drive something a lot nicer than that. I don't give a fuck what you think. I ain't gonna be around here forever. And I'm not gonna spend money on anything that doesn't improve my life. A nicer car doesn't improve my life. That nicer car is for you, it's not for me. I don't need more camera equipment. That's just a conversation piece because I'm so fucking boring. I want to talk about the stuff that I have rather than the stuff that I'm doing. I'm better than that. Well, guys, this was a good therapy session. Hope you guys enjoyed this really quick podcast. We'll be back in studio next week. As of right now, we're in this process of moving and kind of ridding myself of a lot of these things that I don't need. So this is the podcast that you've been given today. But once again, every now and then you'll get a solo podcast. It's going to be a little more introspective, a little more thought out, but is what it is, guys. I will be dropping Genius Brain merch very fucking soon, and also perhaps some Dudes Behind the Foods merchandise as well. So make sure that you cop all of that. It's just, support me and support the channel, and that's the best way that you can do it, is so I don't have to do certain podcast brand deals. I love all of them. They're the fucking best because we get to get the products, try it out, and we only pick up ads that we really believe in. So that's pretty amazing. But if you don't want me out here, I don't know, dancing for booty change, which basically means me doing like fucking, East meets East fucking ads. Ugh. Support Secret Society, Junbi Waikiki. That's my matcha store out in Hawaii. If you're in Hawaii, make sure you go there, check it out. We got the kama aina for all the locals too, by the way. So we got you as well. Appreciate you all. Love you very much. See you all next time. Genius Brain every Sundays at 12 p.m. Love you very much. Live a more fulfilled life by buying things that are more important to you and getting rid of the things that you don't need. Love you all. Peace.